Father, let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be made acceptable in thy sight. God, you are always our strength, our only Redeemer. Remove the scales from our eyes and unstop our deaf ears. Cut away the foreskins of our heart so that we might be open and receptive to receiving this needful bread from heaven. Lord, the world is hungry for that living bread. So right now, God, feed us. Feed us with your living bread. Nourish us with the cup of living refreshment. And God, we will be careful in whatever state we find ourselves. Give you alone all the praise, all the glory, and the honor, for you indeed are worthy to be praised. In the name of Christ we do pray, and God, we give you thanks. Let us all say together, amen. Won't you give God a praise offering in this place? Oh, come on, give God a praise with your lips. The raising of your hand. You can shed a tear if you want to. God is worthy of our highest praise. To the throwbacks, I don't know if they're still here. Are they here? Where the throwbacks at? Were they still here? Are they changing or what have you? And you know, that group, let me just say, I've been harassing them for about 2 years to come and dance for us here at New Beginnings. I'm on the board with the Seattle Superhawks, the T-League team that is owned by my lifelong friend Pierre Crockrell and his wife Jacqueline Yang. And they own the team, and they're trying to position themselves to get the G-League team when the Sonics come back. And games are at Seattle Pacific University. I see a lot of you all there. And at the halftime, we always enjoy the throwbacks who give us that 90s vibe. And because those ladies, you know, back in the 90s, each one of them ladies was shutting down the night spots here in Seattle. Yeah. So they give you that 90s vibe. It's a throwback, amen. And truth be told, most of us in here is a throwback to something, you know. Whether you a throwback to the Caballeros Club in Tacoma, or Eddie Clarence, what's that spot y'all went to on Rainier Avenue? At the Esquire, throwbacks to the Esquire. Some of y'all went even deeper underground than that, you know. So the Lord has brought us a mighty, mighty long way. So I said, I need you ladies to dance for us at church, because I knew most of them had started in church. And they said, well, Reverend, we ain't doing church stuff right now. So I said, I need y'all to get something together for me. And they put me off. So then I was looking at my phone one day, and Lord, did I see the throwbacks ministering at a church. Somebody say, no, they didn't. I said, oh, so it's just me they won't dance. So this personal. So at the next game, I ran up to Sister Tony Ford and I said, y'all don't dance in churches, huh? Who this? She said, oh, Reverend Braxton, she tried to explain, no, I ain't talked to the hand. I ain't trying to. Y'all owe me a date at New Beginning. So she went to the ladies and said, we got to do something, but this man ain't going to leave me alone. Because God has given me the gift of persistence. It works. And so, to make a long story short, they say they prayed about it. I think they just got tired of me. But can you help me thank God for the throwbacks, the sanctified throwbacks this morning who blessed us? And if you know you a throwback to something that God picked up and turned around, you ought to just give your neighbor a high five and say, the Lord has been good to me, because I'm a throwback too. And Reverend Eberhardt, she tickled me talking about what she gonna do. And got up here and said, y'all throw your hands in the air. And then it's like she got winded. She had to take a breath and go, like you just don't care. She couldn't get it all in one breath. I said, that's a throwback there, baby. I may have to stop and take a breath, but I can still do my thing. Amen. God bless you. We were standing all over the building. Would you put up there our scripture this morning, coming from St. John, the 16th chapter, singular verse, the 33rd verse, a seminal verse. St. John, the 16th chapter, the 33rd verse. I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. That's Jesus talking. I've told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. In this world, you will have trouble, but take heart, because I have overcome the world. Scripture as is written, may God add a blessing to the reading and hearing of his most holy word. You may be seated in the presence of the Lord and each other, and I just want to use as a subject for today, focusing on the goodness of God. Focusing on the goodness of God. John A., thank you for singing the sermon. I really could open up the doors of the church right now. I asked her specifically for that song and some other songs, and all them scriptures you read, you notice it was all about the theme of the goodness of the Lord. And I'm going to tell you up front, I'm going to break a whole lot of homiletical rules today because I don't really have a sermon. I really came to give you a testimony, a sermonic testimony. That's really what it is. I don't have a sermon. I got a testimony. And, And I'll tell you why. Let me set it up in this way. I was with Marcia and Deacon Ernestine Robinson and Priscilla Lowe and Clem Winbush. We were all at the American Baptist Biennial in that tropical haven, Omaha, Nebraska. And I ain't want to go to no Omaha, Nebraska. Ain't nothing for no brother in Omaha, Nebraska. You from Omaha, you have my prayers and sympathies. It's a good place to be from and not at. And so I was sitting there, and it was July the 4th. We started on the 3rd. On the Thursday, it was July the 4th. And I'm watching two things. I'm watching floods wash away buildings and towns that could have and should have been signaled. But perhaps part of the story they're going to uncover is that some of the Doge cuts that were made so that people already super rich can buy bigger yachts compromise the warning system so that you may still have had a flood, but you might not have had as much loss of life. And so I'm watching that, but I'm also watching the flood of cowardice in Congress as people like Lisa Murkowski and others who always flirt like they may actually have a conscience, but then fall in line with the old boys in the end, and pass Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill, big, ugly bill that was the most massive upward redistribution of wealth in world history. I watch him pass a bill that is going to have the impact of kicking 17 million people off of health care. He been trying any way that he could to deconstruct anything related to the Obama legacy since Obama clowned him when he was president at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And Obama put 25 million people on health care, so now he's taken 17 million on by ruining the exchanges and shrinking Medicaid, because most of those 25 million were covered by expansions in Medicaid and Medicare, and taking away SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is code for food stamps. When I was hungry, did you feed me? Not in this country, no. And taking away billions of dollars from hungry people, always under the pretense of a boogeyman that you got people getting benefits that ain't supposed to have them, although there's no data to support that. It's just a claim to justify the cruelty and the upside down values. And while we currently are at a zero rate of people crossing the border, so in terms of securing the border, we've pretty much done that with these Gestapo tactics. So why are we increasing border security by 10 times if under the current budget we've already gotten it to zero? That's to pay for more invasive Gestapo-like raids into people's homes, warrants without arrests, people in masks. I believe anybody who enters your home with a mask deserves to be shot in the face. I really do believe that. As a black man, my history with people with hoods, either you a bank robber or the Klan, you come into my dwelling and you don't have a badge to identify yourself, you deserve to be shot in the face. And I say that without flinching. You break in someplace wearing a mask and you don't identify yourself in a country that gives people the right to guns, you love these guns, I deserve they ought to be used on people who come at folks unidentified with masks. I say that without flinching. And if you don't like that, pray my soul in the Lord. But I'm sitting there at Nick's restaurant in the hotel, and I'm like a caged lion. I'm thinking of this flood and the fact that it might not have been necessary, and the impacts of these Doge cuts by the richest man in the world, stealing from the poorest people in the world, and now his bromance with Trump done fell out, and now they're acting like two jilted lovers. Seeing Congress collapse, not representing the people, but representing corporate interests, cutting away at the exchanges for corporations to proceed on clean, renewable energy sources and good stewardship with the planet, as we're having 100 years and 500-year storms, not every 500 years, but several of them every year. And the real key is not warning systems, but it's stop burning fossil fuels. But now we actually, from a policy standpoint, want to turn the process around because they're in the pockets of the fossil fuel industry. So we're going to choke the planet and kill our babies because of people perceiving short-term profits over people. And I'm sitting here and I'm angry. And then Reverend Curtis Price, who's a pastor in Utah, was here locally for many years till he took a church in Utah. He is having breakfast with Reverend Tim Phillips, the former recently retired pastor from First Baptist Church. They were yucking it up. Anybody knows Curtis Price? He's a guitar playing, joke a mile a minute, fun-loving pastor. And they come and say, Pastor Braxton, how you doing? And then I said, man, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this foolishness in Congress. And they said, yep. And about 15 minutes later, when I took a breath, Reverend Curtis said to me, well, thanks for that. As if to say, I was in a good mood till you brought me kind of down and kind of deflated. And they were having brunch, and they had one of them mimosas with brunch, and so they had rosy red cheeks. They were blissful as they had non-sacred communion over there with their brunch. And then Reverend Curtis says to me, I think I need to have another mimosa after talking to Braxton, and they went on, and when I left, it's like the Holy Spirit said to me, Deacon Lydia, did you really do that? Did you really dispirit them? Did you really just bring them down like that? I mean, what you said was true, but did you really bring them down like that? And then it's something said to me, you letting this stuff get the best of you. See, you can deal with something so much that it starts to deal with you. And so, I was reading Stephen Biot's book. Y'all got time for this? This ain't no sermon. It's really a testimony. So, Stephen Biot's in his award-winning biography on Martin Luther King Jr., Let the Trumpet Sound. He remarks that the same Martin King who reached the height of his optimism in 1963 with the March on Washington, when he told America about a dream that he had of when the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners would be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. And I guess we should use more egalitarian language, that the sons and the daughters of former slaves and the sons and the daughters of former slave owners be able to sit down together at the table of brother and sisterhood. And he remarks that by as early as 1964, with the eruption of the riots in Watts and the mounting campaigns or protests on college campuses against the war in Vietnam and the diversion of congressional funding away from the domestic agenda to investments in Vietnam, had Martin King saying that you've turned my dream into a nightmare. You turned my dream into a nightmare. And he followed it up by making statements that any nation that year after year spends more money on weapons of war than they do on programs of social uplift is a nation that's fast approaching spiritual death. Spiritual death. Some 60 years later, what is the spiritual health of this country? They're talking about fraud, waste, and abuse, and they're taking food stamps and Medicare and Medicaid. If they want to save some money, notice they didn't decrease, they increased the Department of Defense. And, it's interesting, if you look at the top 5 nations in the world in terms of their foreign military bases, we're not even talking about domestic, we're talking about foreign. They are in order. France has 5 foreign military bases. 5. And Spain has, Spain has 12, and Saudi Arabia has 21. They're in 3rd place. And the United Kingdom, that's England, Britain, they have 60. And the United States is in 1st, and guess how many we have? 759 foreign bases that we're paying with your tax dollars. A nation, now you want to talk about maintaining military supremacy. I don't know how much that takes, but I'm certain if 2nd place has 60, I'm sure we need something less than 759. We don't have money for food stamps. And as Tupac Shakur says, ain't it funny how we can't feed the poor, but we got money for war. Said there ain't no hope for the youth, and the truth is ain't no hope for the future. And you've turned my dream into a a nightmare. And that's a crazy statement coming from a man who was known for being a dreamer. They turned the dream into a nightmare. It was Langston Hughes, that black Barrett of the Harlem Renaissance, who said, well, what happens to a dream when it's deferred or diminished or turned into a nightmare? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Does it fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat? Does it crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Does it sag like a heavy load, or does it explode? Dream within a dream. Dreams deferred. Montage of a dream deferred. Langston Hughes, 1951. He asked the question, what happens to the dream when it gets deferred? But the question I want to ask today is, what happens to the dreamer when the dreams are deferred, delayed, diminished, denied? What happens to the dreamer? And I think John Lewis, the iconic civil rights leader who himself shared the stage with Martin King on August the 28th, 1963. As a member of SNCC, Student Nonviolent Civil Rights Corps. And he said something that's instructive for the dreamer, regardless of the dream, when it happens in the pendulums of history. But the dreamer who's dreaming big things, the dreamer whose dreams are turned into nightmares, the dreamer whose dreams are delayed and deferred, the dreamer whose dreams are thrown back in their face and diminished. What happens to the spirit of the dreamer? And John Lewis warned, he said, don't get caught in a sea of despair. Press on. Press on. How do you press on when the stuff you're pressing toward keeps getting delayed, denied, diminished, thrown back in your face? How do you press on when the dream seems like it's drying up like a raisin in the sun? How do you keep the faith when they mocking faith and faith seems like tomfoolery, when nothing will set you up for disappointment more than aiming big? When you dream for something, when you want something, when you yearn for something, when you fight for something, that puts you at risk of having, as Martin King said in one of his famous signature sermons, to end up having shattered dreams, delayed dreams, denied dreams. Forget about the dream, the policy, the legislation, but what happens to the spirit of the person in whose heart and mind the dream was housed? Are we set up to be angry advocates of an ideal, sitting at a bar in a restaurant on Independence Day, bringing down the spirit of others because the thing that you handling is now handling you? And so here's what, did I tell you I ain't got no sermon? I just got a testimony. And I went back to my room, and then that night at service, the Lord snuck up on me. Snuck up on me. Lord, this music team we had for the week that cooked my grits, because there's a lot of things they did I didn't like, but even a broke clock is right twice a day. They was right when out of nowhere they started singing, I love you, Lord, for your grace has never failed me. All my life I've been held in your hands. I said, ooh. From the moment that I wake up till I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I'm not going to talk about Trump all day long, but I will sing of the goodness of God. Then they had the nerve to go on and tell you why. He said, because all my life you have been faithful. Ooh, that got me. All my life you have been so good. Every day You have been faithful. So what I'm going to do, I will sing of the goodness of God. What did John A. say? I will sing of the goodness of God. And the Lord said, that's what I'm trying to tell you. He said, if you not gonna get caught up in a sea of despair, working on the very things I asked you to work on, the things I asked you to take up, take you down, if you focus on them. I need you to not focus on the injustice while you work on the injustice. I need you to focus on my goodness. That's the only way you will survive the work you're doing. That's my whole sermon. That's it right there. If you're going to be God's instrument to try and right a wrong world and turn a world that's upside down, right side up, the very work you work on will sweep you away in an ocean of despair. It's like working on a patient whose infection you get. So while you're working on it, you can't focus on it. You got to focus on the goodness of God while we're working on the injustice, trying to make justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. Y'all got time for this? I didn't preach last week, so I got 2 sermons to do. No, I'm playing. Let me give you a window of application. Several years ago, it was about 10, 15 years ago, I was it was when ABC had the biennial in Portland, and I went by the mall, and I saw a bunch of people standing around just quiet and staring, and so I ain't a nosy person. I am curious. My curiosity got the best of me, and I had to see what everybody was looking at. And so I found a crack in the crowd and looked over, and they were staring at this picture. And I looked at the picture, it just seemed to be a bunch of shapes and stuff, but nothing definitive. And I was like, okay, I'm not figuring, I can't sense what they're doing here, T. And then I said, well, what are we doing? The guy said, shh. First of all, don't shush me. That right there made me mad. So now I'm confused and angry. Shh. He said, just stare at it. I said, why are we staring at it? He said, just stare at it. Because if you stare at it, they said, if you look long enough, there's something you can't see at first. It turns out what they was looking at, it was called an autostereogram. An autostereogram is a picture, a portrait that has a pattern at the surface. But if you stare at it continually and at the right angle, you'll see underneath the surface pattern, there's a hidden image in 3D. But you can't see it at first. You can't see it until you stop and focus, so that you don't look at what's on the surface. If you look at it long enough, you start looking through what's on the surface to see what's in 3D underneath. What I'm trying to say is that as we chase the will of God in our life, we have to look not at the trouble, the trial, the tragedy on the surface, and the politicians and the pontificates and the gangsters and the cancer and the divorce and the trouble and the poverty and the rent and everything at the surface. We don't have to look away and deny it, no, but we have to look through it to see the goodness of God in 3D that's at work in your life. It may not seem apparent at first. Sometimes you have to be still and see. Oh God, I wish I had a praying church. I ain't preaching, I'm just testifying today. I wonder if there's anybody in here today who's overwhelmed at what you see at the surface that's threatening to sweep you away in an ocean of despair because it has blinded you, blocked you, distracted you, and for a while you have not focused on the goodness of the Lord that you don't see at the surface. But if you just get quiet enough, if you just get still enough, you can look through everything that's got you in a panic, drinking at the bar, staying up late at night, and see that God is still at work in living color. Can I put some flesh on them bones? All my life, I've been held in your hands. That song rode me like my nephew Ron calls it an earworm. When a song just rides you, that song rode me all week long. And then it started, I had like a Christmas story experience. You know when the ghosts of Christmas past, present, future got a hold of old Scrooge and took him back through his life because what he needed, the reason why he was Scroogey is he had forgotten. He needed to take a repass through his past so that he could see his future a little more clearly. And I had a Christmas story type of experience. And I remember with that song ringing in my ear, I remembered 44 years ago now, 43 years ago now, 42, whatever it was, July 1982, when I was licensed to ministry. My grandmama gave me a new Bible with my name on the front because the Bible I carried into the pulpit to do my first sermon, the bindings were coming loose. It was an old Bible I found around in a closet. So they said I need to have a decent Bible in the pulpit. My mama sat me down somewhere around that time and she said, I need to tell you something. And so she proceeded to tell me, she said, you know, when I found out I was pregnant with you, the family was falling apart. My life was in chaos. I was depressed the whole time I was pregnant with you. I was like, well, I didn't do nothing. So I was like, well, where's this thing going? And she says, you know, I was 21 years of age. Suddenly I was by myself, and your brother Norman wasn't quite 2. Your sister Felicia wasn't quite 1. And now I was pregnant again, 3,000 miles away from home in racist Boston, 21 years of age. She said, I was so depressed, I went to the liquor store, got a fifth of scotch. And she said, to drown my sorrows. And she said, but being a lightweight with alcohol, which she is, if she smells liquor, she's high. And she said, I literally threw up and passed out before I could drink enough to do any damage to you. And I started thinking to myself at the time, I'm like, now, why do you think I need to hear this story? Because I've lived to learn that sometimes parents are trying to say something to their children at one level, but they're hearing them at another level because we're sensitive like that. And Beverly, I'm sensitive. I've accepted it. I'm kind of sensitive like that. Because see, what I heard was you put me at risk. What I heard was maybe you didn't even want me. And I got stuck there. Honestly, for years, if not decades, I got stuck there. They say the definition of a demon is a negative thought that took. And I've lived long enough as a parent and talking with my own children, there have been some things that I'm talking at one level, they're hearing at another level because children hear sensitively. And some things you meant one way, it got stuck in I don't know who I'm talking to, but I'm talking to somebody in here. There's crosstalk. It's generational crosstalk. And if you just keep on living, sometimes you'll hear what the elders were trying to say, because as George Benson said in his song, Masquerade, he said, sometimes the words get in the way. The words got in the way, but I lived to learn what Mama was trying to say is that, boy, when you were born August 2nd, 1961, into a family in crisis, you need to understand God did not start blessing you then. God had started blessing you in my womb. He put his hand on you and was protecting you from dangers seen and unseen, even from me. All my life I've been held in your hand. All my life you have been faithful. Have you ever taken the trip back through your life? Do you just sing them words, or does it take you on a journey somewhere to where you start putting the flesh on the bones? While I was in my mama's womb, God dispatched angels with infinite seed and said, I'm doing something in this life here. I can't let nobody, not even his mama, put a hand on him. So I will sing of the goodness of God. They went on to say, I love your voice. You led me through the fire. In darkest nights, you've been closer than any other. You know, this church started, I was going through the fire. There were people in this town that tried to light me on fire. And God led me through the fire. He said, I've known him like a father. I've known him like a friend. Then she says, oh, I have lived in the goodness of God. I have lived in the goodness of God. That's my testimony. I have lived in the goodness of God. I sent Kevin some pictures because the Lord sat me down and said, get your phone, boy, get your phone. Turn CNN off. Get your phone, because I'm going to take you back through to days past. I'm going to show you some of the goodness. Put that picture up there. That one. Look at that. That was September 23rd, 1989. I was 28, Sheila was 26. That was 2 weeks ago at the Lenny Wilkins dedication of his unveiling of his new statue. 35 years later, and neither one of us look no older than the day we got married. You know, that's all kind of grace. Don't nobody on that picture look like they're in their 60s, and yet both of us are. And see, but see, here's what you don't get. When we got married, we became a part of a group of 4 young clergy families that had come to Buffalo. I was the beginning of a new generation of young preachers that came to Buffalo. They ran me out of the ministers' conference the first week I showed up because I was the only black pastor in Buffalo with a seminary degree. So Bennett W. Smith, who would become the president of Progressive National Baptist Convention, when I walked in the door, he literally stood up and said, "Hear this N-word come." He filled up with man, we filled up with God. I got called an N-word. They didn't even let me say my name. They knew who I was. And then I got angry. I said, man, you don't know me like that. And he pulled back his coat jacket to show me the handle of his pistol. So my preaching career in Buffalo with the black Baptist pastors that I went to looking for mentorship, even father figures, called me an N-word and for all intent and purposes pulled a gun on me. That was the beginning of my ministry in Buffalo. How'd your career start? So then God sent a new generation that I became the leader, new generation of preachers. We used to drive up to Toronto, 2 hours up to QEW from Buffalo. We'd wait till after prayer meeting on Wednesdays, and we'd spend a couple of days out there going to the shows and going out to dance and eat and so forth. And then we'd all be back in our pulpits by Sunday morning. 35 years later, Sheila and I are the only couple still together. Not because we've had a perfect marriage. That don't exist. There was an old man that recently, he was on CNN. He was 100 years old, and he had been married 82 years to the same woman. 100 years old, 82 years, Johnny. And they asked him, how did you live so long, and how did you stay married so long to the same person? He said, oh, well, it's simple. They said, what is that? He said, as far as how I lived so long, he said, just don't die. He said, how did I stay married so long? He said, just don't leave. Now, that's easier said than done. But anybody who's been married for more than a minute know that you could have left. At times you thought you should have left, but you just didn't leave. And I'm telling you, 35 years later, his mercies have never failed me just because I got the 35 years of marriage, because his mercy has never failed me. No, I don't want to talk about chump this morning. I just want to talk about the goodness of God. How many of you know sometimes the goodness of God is that your life is better than you deserve it to be? Oh, come on, somebody. When you know your life is better than you deserve it to be, because all your life God has been faithful. When you weren't, all my life God has been oh so good. So with every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of the Lord. Put that next picture up there. Yeah. 30 years ago this year, Ramon put it up there. 30 years ago last week, Ramon came to live with us in Buffalo, New York. He was supposed to stay with me for the summer. And he told all the youth in the church he wasn't leaving. And their parents came and told me and Sheila, Ramon say he ain't leaving. That was 1995. Carissa was 2, not quite 3, and Sam was 1.5. And we were in a small house with about 1,200 square feet. Neither one of us was making no money to speak of. And he was 190 pounds and woke up one day and the boy had eaten my Fruit Loops and I almost had a fit. I told Sheila, this N-word ate my cold cereal. That picture on the right was at the Tribeca Film Festival, where songs of black folk out of 9,000 films submitted to Tribeca, the top film festival in the country, that the documentary called Songs of Black Folk was #1. It's the story about an uncle with a dream who had a nephew who could fulfill the dream. 30 years later, the boy who ate my Fruit Loops is one of the greatest musicians in this country. I lifted him, now he lifted me, because all my life, God has been faithful. I'm living the goodness of the Lord. I'm looking through chump and all this craziness and floods and fire and craziness, and I can see the goodness of the Lord in 3D. Can you see it in your life? Put that next picture up there. I love this one. That's Carissa to the left with some teeth missing. I hadn't grown in, and that's Carissa and me singing that song from the song we did last fall. "30 years in between the pictures." A child that when I baptized her, she was so small I had to hold her up because she couldn't stand up in the water. And when you pour into your children and try to teach them about the Lord, and then they grow up, and next thing you know, they pouring into your ministry. If that ain't the goodness of the Lord, I don't know what it is. Because a lot of people raise their kids in church and can't find them. And my daughter stand here with me in church every day. This morning when I came in the staff parking lot, she took prerogative and parked where she wasn't supposed to, but that's just because she's the first daughter. And but here she is in my ministry. I'm telling you, I can look past Trump today and see that I am living the goodness that when I got my daughter here in my ministry. As much as she fuss about me, she just like me in a pumps and a skirt. Put that next picture up there. Now, if Sam ain't a mini me, I don't know what is. And 30 years later, 27 years later, he's looking just more like me. Simba looking more like Mufasa every day. But put that next picture up there, because this is the one that just makes me shout. It makes me the shout. It's because the one on the left, when I got sick 5 years ago, Sam, who went into kinesiology and then sports science and rehab and physical therapy, when I got that infection in my leg, that was one of 3 hospital stays when I was reduced to a walker, was on disability. You see that belt around my neck. I could not hold myself up without a walker, and I needed the assistance of somebody to hold me by the belt while I was learning to walk. I taught that boy how to walk, and he had to come and help me learn how to walk again. Oh, I have lived. When your children that you carry come back and carry you, oh, I don't want to talk about them fools in Washington today. I just want to talk about how good God is. My son came back to help me learn how to walk and talked with my physicians using his professional experience to help craft a recovery plan. And part of the reason I'm on my feet today because my son helped me learn how to eat, how to train so that I could get back on my feet. And then, of course, I got my little grandson, his little mini him. Emery, Sam and I were going back and forth. We got in an argument, Lydia, over what the boy was going to call his granddaddy. I called my granddaddy Big Daddy. And he said, no, we don't want to call him that. And I said, well, it seemed like I should be able to choose. And so he wanted something else. I didn't like what he wanted to call me. We arguing about it. And then Emery resolved it when Emery said, looked at and called me, said, hey, G-Dad. G short for granddad. And I said, that's the coolest thing I ever been called in my life. G-Dad, because Emery decided, I'm going to call you G-Dad. And listen, you got Spider-Man, you got Batman, you got Superman, you got Black Panther, you got the Incredible Hulk, you got Wonder Woman, you got Green Arrow, but ain't none of them as cool as G-Dad. That's the goodness of the Lord when your grandchild give you the coolest name you ever been called. You know, when you're dealing with stuff that can sink your soul in despair, dealing with the contradictions and tragedies and injustices in this life, and you're working for not-for-profits, you're in the healthcare industry, you're in criminal justice, you're just trying to get your kids through this crazy educational system that's making less sense every day. That stuff can sweep you away in an ocean of despair unless you develop the capacity to look through it and see the goodness of the Lord at 3D still at work in your life. That's all I came to ask you today. Are you looking not away from it in denial, but to be able to look through it and see the goodness of God despite what's happening at the surface? The other night, we went to see The Color Purple way up in Everett because Janae was playing the role of Miss Seeley. And there were several moments in that play, but there was one in particular. It wasn't a dry eye in that play, certainly not on our row. As Janae came to the front of the stage, every bit of Miss Seeley. I forgot it was Janae for a minute. It was Miss Seeley. Miss Seeley, the young girl who was raped by the man she thought was her father, and then took the 2 children that he impregnated with, snatched out her arms and literally sold them away, and then turned her over, gave her over to Mr., who basically beat her every day, and then raped her himself, and then kept her away from her sister Nellie, didn't give her letters, and all that pain and poverty. And yet near the end of the play, there is Seeley, who pushes past all that pain and sorrow and mistreatment, and Seeley's standing at the front of the stage saying, open your eyes, see what God has done. Open your eye. And I didn't know if it was Celie or Janae processing her own experience as part of the internal refugees flung out of New Orleans when Katrina hit, flung to the Northwest, got to start over. And Celie just became the voice for her own panic and sorrow in life, but seeing the goodness of God despite it all. But if Miss Celie can see the goodness of the Lord, I'm trying to figure out who in here shouldn't be able to look past the surface and see the goodness of God in 3D at work in your life. What have you gone through so bad that you can't get past the surface to be able to say in an upside down world that the Lord is good, his mercy is everlasting, and his truth endures to all generations? Because if you can't see the goodness of God in your own life, you won't believe in goodness. And if you stop believing in goodness, you'll just be a jaded, angry. You know, we sang Blessed Assurance. Did y'all know that song was written by Fanny Crosby? The diminutive little white lady, not even 5 foot tall, blinded in her infancy by a bootleg doctor filling in for the regular doctor who was on vacation. She got a fever and all she needed was a cold compress. Being a bootleg doctor, he prescribed something else that took her sight. 2 months shy of her 9th birthday, this little girl who had special intellectual gifts that was already obvious. People felt sad for her, tapping her little cane along, and she was compelled to sit down, not even 9 years of age yet. And she said, "What a happy soul I am. Although I cannot see, I have resolved that in this world contented I will be. So many blessings I enjoy that other people don't. To weep and sigh because I'm blind, I cannot and I won't." Not even 9. That woman would go on to write over 8,000 hymns and poems. And in 1901, when President McKinley was killed in Buffalo, New York at the Pan American Games, which was the third presidential assassination in 36 years. Lincoln, 1865, Garfield in 1888, and now McKinley in 1901. A nation that was particularly grieved because 3 heads of states had been assassinated in just 36 years. The nation turned to this little white blind lady from upstate New York, and that's when she sat down and penned the hymn for the state funeral. They escorted her up on stage. She put a cane down, sat at the piano, and played, "Be not dismayed, whate'er be tried, God will take care of you. Beneath his wings let love abide, God will take care of you. Through every day or all the way, he will take care of you. God will take care of you." This lady pushed past her blindness, and though she didn't have physical sight, she had the insight to see the goodness of God in 3D at work in her life. The Apostle Paul said, "I chaseth that which chases me," which is a strange thing to say, because we not only have to be able to see the goodness of God in our life in terms of God protecting us from danger seen and unseen, but we also got to be able to see how the grace of God has saved us from us. How many of you realize that at times in your life, the biggest threat to your life has been you? Touch your neighbor and say, "Now you know you've gotten in God's way in your life." The 23rd Psalm's 5th verse, it says, "Goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life." And if you do a word study on that, what's in the English as follows. It comes from a Hebrew word, rahah, which means to pursue after, to chase. It is not goodness and mercy functioning passively, escorting you through life in case something goes wrong. It's not like the security detail on the stage there in case you try to come up here or the others around the place. No, it is goodness and mercy who have been dispatched to go get you. when you went someplace you had no business being, or something's headed your way that could be dangerous to you, that goodness and mercy are God's undercover agents that are dispatched to go get you. Can I tell you another story about my mama? I told you this ain't no sermon, it's a testimony. When I was 13 years old, 8th grade at Hunt Junior High School, I made the football team. The coach cut me, and then I begged him to take me back. Gil Boyd, he was a Christian man. He was my homeroom teacher. All my entire academic career coming through Tacoma, Washington, I never had a black teacher. I had one black homeroom teacher, Gil Boyd, who was also the PE coach and the football coach. And we're in football practice, and the police come. And we practicing, the police came, lights flashing, no siren, but the lights were flashing. We was wondering. And then the police got out the car and started walking toward the football field. And you know, all the white boys was going, "Oh, it's the police. Hi, officers." You know, they had a different kind of history with the police. They were friendly toward the police. But we saw the police. And the brothers was wondering, "Oh, Lord, who they after?" So the police came toward the field. Now we all start getting nervous, and I'm like everybody, I'm thinking, now, have I done anything? I wasn't serious. We did a little shoplifting back then. We was just small businessmen. We would go into the 7-Eleven, to Stop and Go, and take a box of Three Musketeers or Snickers, not one, take the box and sell them for 15 cents. It was 25 cents at the time. So it was under market. It was all profit. There was no overhead. And after you sell a couple of boxes worth, I could buy me another pair of Converse All-Stars, only $10, limousines for the feet. And so I just felt that, that this was income redistribution. So a couple of boxes of Three Musketeers, but I'm thinking, okay. So then the police officer went up to the coach. Coach Boyd was talking to him, and then Coach Boyd turned and looked at our direction. And then next thing you know, he walks over to the huddle, because I was on the defense, and then he said, "Les, I'm going to need you to go with the officers." Now my eyes get big, and I'm thinking, over some musketeers? Are we really doing this? Now my eyes are big. I'm thinking I'm going to Raymond Hall. And as a kid, I think I don't want to go to jail. Too many in the family had already done that. I ain't trying to do that. And so I'm about 5'2" at the time. These two big old officers, white officers. And now we walking toward the police car. They opened the door, put me in the back of the police car. And ain't nobody said a word. And I'm thinking they taking me to Raymond Hall. We drive past Raymond Hall. Now I don't know where we're going. I don't know if they're going to try to Emmett Till me. I don't know what's going on. I'm too scared to ask any questions. And we get, next thing you know, we get close to the house. We pull up to the house. Mama's standing on the porch, tears running down her face. And I don't know what's going on. And then that's when I get out the car and the police said, "Young man," he said, "somebody called your house and told your mama that they was going to go to the school, kidnap you, and kill you. And it may have been a prank, we don't know. So your mama called us and told us to go get you." Now, I'm thinking, you couldn't resolve this any other way than this. I got to go to school tomorrow. They gonna light me up for sure. And I still got friends in Tacoma 50 years later who tease me about when the police came and extracted me from football practice. But the point was, Mama, when somebody was threatening her baby, sent them police officers like goodness and mercy to go get me. And all I come to tell you, that's how goodness and mercy functions in your life. Because if you like me, there's some places, Eddie, I had no business going. There's some things I had no business doing. There's some people I had no business being around. As the hymn writer said, prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. But Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God, and here to rescue me from danger, interpose his precious blood. At least least 4 or 5 of you should be shouting, doing somersaults, backflips, because you know, if nobody else know, that it's because God went and got you and extracted you from that relationship, pulled you out of that bar, pulled you out of that drug house, pulled you out of that dysfunctional relationship, pulled you out of that foolishness. He went and got you. He pulled you like a good shepherd. All my life, God has been faithful. All my life. Somebody say, all my life. He has been good, so good. And so now with every breath that I am able, I ain't going to sit here and fuss about anybody, anywhere, lottie-dottie, and everybody. I just stopped by to tell you that the Lord is good. His mercy is everlasting, and His truth endures to all generations. If Seeley can say, look and see what the Lord is doing. If Fanny Crosby can say, what Abby Ty, God will take care of you. I know I can walk in here and maybe you had cancer, but you're still here. Maybe you got divorced, but you're still here. Maybe you had to bury your child, but you're still here. Maybe you got furloughed and lost your job, but God has still put food on the table because He's able to do more for you than the world against you. Let's take a time out. Let's not worry about the trouble at the surface. In this life, you shall have tribulations. You shall have enemies. You shall have sick days. You shall have sorrow, but be of good cheer. Keep on looking. Keep on staring. Can't you see Jesus still at work in your life? Gardner Taylor tells a story. Let's say this, I'm done. He said in the dawning of his ministry when he was preaching somewhere in Louisiana, 90 miles where land ran out into the Pacific. And he said late at night, a storm swept up and knocked out the flimsy little power line they had to that church, and the whole place went dark. And he froze. He didn't know what to do. And he said what seemed like an eternity, it may have been just several seconds, but as he froze, waiting to get an instruction from the pastor, whomever it was, he said the silence was disrupted by a voice in the back of the room. He could tell by the texture of the voice, it was an old man who bellowed out. He said, "Preach on, preacher. We can see Jesus in the dark." And I just stopped by to ask the question, can anybody in here see Jesus in the dark? I know it is dark, but can you see Jesus? If you can still see Jesus in 3D working in your life, slap your neighbor a high five and say, I can still see Jesus. I can still see His goodness. I can still see His mercy, because all my life, God has been faithful. All my life, God has been good, so good. And with every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of the Lord, because His goodness has been running after me. Oh, you didn't hear me. I said His goodness has been running after me. And so with my life laid down, I surrender now everything. Your love has been running after me. I'm talking to somebody. Your love has been running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything, because your love, goodness has been running after me. I'm going to open the doors of the church on on that note, if you're online, hit that button. If you're here in the house, everybody standing, is there somebody in the room right now that's having a Christmas story experience? God is taking you back through your life and showing you how in 3D He's been at work every day of your life. And even right now, His goodness is running after you. His goodness is running after you. And maybe if you see it, you can say right here, right now, you're ready to say that with my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything because I realize that your goodness has been running after me. Is there anybody in the house today who's ready to say right now, with my life laid down, I surrender now. God, I give you everything you need because I realize your goodness has been running after me. You've been putting God off. You've been giving God the backhand. You've been about everything but God. And now you realize God has been running after you. Everybody, turn to your neighbor and say, is the Lord chasing you, baby? Is the Lord chasing you? Come on, tap three people a high five and say, is the Lord chasing you? Stop running from Him. Stop running from Him. Stop running from Him. God is chasing you. God is chasing you. Come on, somebody. Your love is running after me. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after me. It's running after me. Come on, your goodness is running after me. It's running after me. It's running after me. Hey. Your goodness. Is there somebody in the house today? Come on. Stop running from Him. Stop running from Him. Tell Jesus yes. But I give you everything. Everything, because your goodness. Your goodness. Stop right there. Sit with that. Everybody in the house, just sit with that. How God's goodness has been running after you. God's chasing you, but what are you chasing? Paul did say at a point, I chaseth that which chaseth me. He didn't find God. God was never lost. He just realized that God was chasing him, and so he decided he'd return the favor and chase the God who's been chasing him. I want to invite somebody in the house today to chase God, because if you chase anything else, you might get swept away in a sea of despair. There's enough going on in this world to drive any of us crazy. But if you can look through it to see the goodness of God still at work in 3D in your life, that focus on the goodness of God will strengthen you to deal with the craziness of this world. So if you're here today and God's been chasing you and you're still running, I invite you to come. If you don't have a church home, I invite you to come. If you've never accepted Him in the pardon of your sins, I invite you to come. If you've been away from the church and need to come back, I invite you to come. But Jesus is a good shepherd, and He's always running after us. And if He's running after you, today is the day where you can turn and say, Lord, I'm going to chase you back. Whosoever will. Whosoever will. Whosoever will. Sing that again. Whosoever will. Whosoever will. Whosoever will.
Your goodness is running after.
Running after.
It's running after me. Your goodness is running after.
Whosoever will.
It's running after me.
I'm focused on the goodness of God.
With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything.
God's goodness.
Your goodness is running after. It's running after me.
How many of you believe that today? God's goodness is running after.
Your goodness is running after. It's running after me.
God's goodness.
Your goodness is running after.
Running after.
It's running after
with
me.
my life laid down.
With my life laid down, I surrender now.
I give you everything.
I give you everything.
My mind, my heart, my soul.
Your goodness
I give you everything.
It's running after
with my life laid down.
With my life laid down,
I surrender now. I give you everything.
Everything.
Your goodness.
Your goodness
God bless you. Is there another?
It's running after me.
Is there somebody else in my life?
Lay down, I surrender now.
I give you everything. Your goodness.
Your goodness is running after. It's running after me.
With my life.
With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after. It's running after me.
Whosoever will, God is at work. He's chasing.
Your goodness is running after.
He's chasing.
It's running after.
He's chasing you. Why don't you chase him back?
Your goodness is running after me.
With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. My past, my present, my future.
Your goodness is running after me. It's running after me.
With my life
laid down, I surrender now.
Whosoever will, I'll wait on it. I'll wait on it.
Everything.
You're the reason why I can't work. You're the reason. I give you everything. With my life laid down, I surrender now.
I give you everything.
With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. One more time. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything.
Your goodness is running after. It's running after me.
Come on, as you take your seat, slap somebody a high five and say, I'm so glad the Lord's been chasing me. I'm so glad the Lord's been chasing me. I'm so glad the Lord keeps chasing me.